Good evening, all. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, what a few weeks it's been in politics in the UK. We've had more debate over Brexit. We've seen Theresa May capitulate to Monsieur Macron last week regarding migrants. Let's face it, she's giving more of her money for border control in France while accepting more migrants coming in. And we find out in the last couple of days that the French border force are turning off the equipment we've already given them, which is, well, it would be laughable if it wasn't so serious. There are obviously issues surrounding the NHS, the usual winter crisis, which is put down to lack of funding. And we still have an ongoing housing crisis and a migration problem. But what we've seen over the last week and a half, all over the pages of the tabloids and on the TV, is unfortunately to do with my former party UKIP and their leader Henry Bolton. Now, I'm not one to comment on people's private life usually, because let's face it, in the old Bible statement, let he who be without sin cast the first stone. But this isn't about Henry Bolton having an affair with a 25-year-old fashion model. This is from the many calls and emails I've had from my friends and former colleagues in UKIP. This is to do with a trust issue. When Henry Bolton campaigned to be the leader of UKIP, he campaigned on his credentials as a family man. He told everybody how his wife was fully behind him, how she supported him in his bid for the leadership. And then, when the affair with Joe Marnie comes out, he turns around and says that his marriage has been in trouble for some time. Well, which one is it, Henry? Have you got the doting wife and the perfect family life, or has your marriage been in trouble for a long time? Well, we can all take our own conclusions from that, but the reality is that if your marriage was in trouble for a long time, you were telling the UKIP members lies during the leadership campaign, and if it wasn't, you were telling them lies when the story of your affair broke. But this is only one of a number of untruths that the party grassroots have been in touch with me about. There was your promise to make David Curtin your deputy leader during the leadership campaign. No, that didn't happen. Paul Oakton would only be an interim chairman. No, with his fat salary and also his lack of competence, he's now pretty much the full-time chairman, which kind of grates a little bit. Nice guy, good for a beer, good in front of a TV, but completely useless. And of course, then you promised the Young Independents to get a vote from them that the YI chair would be the UKIP youth spokesman, and you've reneged on that as well. So over the course of the last week and a half, we've seen you across all sorts of media channels. We've seen you going on there, and as was pointed out tonight, I listened to Nigel Farage's LBC show tonight where you were interviewed. As has been pointed out, you had plenty of opportunity when all of a sudden you're not Mr. Nobody anymore, you're in front of the camera. Anybody with any media savvy would have switched that to talk about Brexit and the other issues, but instead you were talking about yourself and about your affair. And things have come up during that as well. You told people that the romantic part of the relationship was over. Then you get photographed out with the young lady, funnily enough at the Liberal Club. Well, that noise you hear is Godfrey Bloom's head exploding because the leader of UKIP still has a membership of the Liberal Club. But you've had that, and then you've gone in front of the NEC, unanimous vote of no confidence. Probably the first time Steve Crowther's done anything useful apart from buy me a pint as well. And all of a sudden, the NEC are the bad guys. You refuse to go. You turn around and say that, well, the party can't afford a leadership campaign. What kind of a defence of your behaviour and your constant mistruths is that? That's, oh yeah, well, you can't get rid of me because the party can't afford it. How about giving something positive? I think your Lib Dem background showing a little bit there, my son. And you've come out today on Sky. You've done a press conference. You've talked about people undermining you in the party and knifing you in the back, and that people walking away aren't doing the party any from positions, aren't doing the party any favours, which you repeated on Nigel's LBC show tonight. Well, I'm terribly sorry if you had a fraction of the integrity of some of the long-serving UKIP front bench who walked away tonight, people like Tim Aker, Gerard Batten, Margot Parker, then Peter Whittle, then I'm sorry, there wouldn't be a problem, would there? I mean, it's just disgraceful. And I've got to say, the best point tonight on Nigel Farage's show, Paul Oakley came on, who's the General Secretary of UKIP, because now Mr. Bolton is making it all about, well, we've got to have an EGM, so in the next 4 weeks I will write a new constitution because the NEC have too much power. Well, I agree on that. I've been critical of the NEC in the past. The branch that I was chairman of voted pretty much unanimously for an EGM 2 years ago to change the structure of the NEC. But as Paul Oakley rightly pointed out, when you have a vote of no confidence in the leader from the NEC, the EGM is triggered for one purpose only and one subject only, which is for the members to vote on whether they want the leader to continue. So trying to turn it into, I will write a new constitution in 28 days and get people to vote on that, well, one, you're scrabbling around trying to use the NEC as a deflection shield so that people will vote to reform the NEC, which needs to be done and people need to be done. No needs to be done. So you're using that as a shield to try and protect your leadership. But secondly, you don't know the rule book, do you? Because the rule book states one thing only on the agenda, your leadership. So this is desperate. And for somebody who claims to be a man of integrity, don't just look at the unanimous NEC vote. Look at the amount of decent front bench people who have resigned from post. People who don't cause any trouble. So forget all this, it's a coup, oh. No, that's rubbish. These are people who've worked hard for the party for years before you even knew the party existed, while you were in the Lib Dems, or sucking on the teat of the European Union out there on an NGO. Look at them. 16 separate people on your front bench have resigned in protest. But instead you're digging your heels in. You are the ultimate 3%er. You've done nothing as leader. There have been 2 campaigns launched, one which was set up before you came in. They both flopped. And the only time we see you on TV is to talk about your mistress. That's and you also had the nerve on Sky to turn around and say that Brexit is important and you need to be the leader of the Brexit campaign. What? What are you on about? People won't take you seriously. All you were doing while you were staying there, you're not just damaging UKIP, you are damaging Brexit. Now, I've left UKIP, but Brexit is still close to my heart. That is one of my main reasons for getting involved in politics. And if you're associated with it and trying to be high profile in it, you are going to damage the biggest political question of our time. So if you are the man of honour you state, which to be honest I've done some further digging and I don't think you are, then stand down now. Save UKIP the money, because all you're doing is dragging it out. You're going to get smashed at the EGM because I speak to the grassroots. You don't even know most of them. And you're going to get smashed at the EGM. You're going to cost UKIP money it hasn't got. You're going to drag it down further. And worst of all, UKIP isn't my issue anymore, but Brexit is. And we don't need people like you putting yourself up as a spokesman for Brexit when all you're going to do is damage it. The best thing for UKIP now? Well, personally, I am gutted that I think the party's over. and I'm gutted about that because I put years of my life, a lot of my time, my effort, and my money in, and I'm not the only one. There are thousands of people out there who did exactly the same. But it's UKIP in its current form, with people like you, Mr. Bolton, and people like Paul Oakden and people like Freddie Thatcher. It, it's just getting in the way, and you need to step to one side, let the campaign groups take over, let the decent people within UKIP. I mean, if you had any sense, you would step down now. UKIP would appoint an interim leader, and to my mind, he's volunteered to do it. The obvious choice is Gerard Batten, an absolute gentleman, an absolute Brexit legend, who his heart's in the right place. He's always done it for the right reasons. Let him stabilise the party, take the sting out of it, and let's let the solid Brexiteers of all parties and none get on and do the job. Henry Bolton, you're a disgrace. Go now if you are the man of honour you claim you are. Thank you.